Cinema Classics is brought to you by the Gateway Film Center, 1550 North High Street, Columbus, Ohio. Further details and showtimes online at gatewayfilmcenter.com.
The award-winning Cinema Classics is produced by John DeSando and Johnny DiLoretto. Listen to the shows online at WCBE.org and like us on Facebook.
I'm John DeSando.
And I'm Johnny DiLoretto, and this is Cinema Classics.
It is.
We're at the Gateway Film Center as usual, and what is our topic? Who is our topic?
Hey, she's 37 years old.
Mm-hmm.
She's already been nominated.
Can't be my wife.
No, it's not. And she is a Juilliard graduate. In fact, she was
Robin Williams.
Oh, you are so good. She did many Shakespeare productions around the Bay Area, and it is Jessica Chastain, I think.
Oh, okay. Rising star.
The
Jessica
current,
Chastain.
yeah.
So let me start by saying
Yes.
Jessica Chastain, I think, is a very talented actress.
Yes.
She is a striking presence on camera.
Yes, she is, although she had a difficult time getting on camera because there were directors who thought she wasn't beautiful enough.
Well, those
How about that?
obviously stupid. So yeah, she does have an interesting look, but I think
Yes.
isn't that what always sets the great stars apart? Is they don't look perfect. There's kind of something interesting going on
Yes,
in their faces that holds
Yeah.
our attention. So
Yeah.
she has that. I have rarely seen her in a part that I thought was right for her.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
can you remember
for instance,
which one that was?
Yeah, I remember the first time I'd ever seen her was in what the hell was the movie?
Well,
The first time I'd ever seen her was in The Tree of Life.
yes. Okay.
By Terrence Malick.
Yeah,
And
and I think that's a good choice, and still remains perhaps, for me, maybe her best movie. Although there was one recently.
but see, I like that. I like her in that because she was this, she was a 1960s era mother. She was kind of demure, and she had to find this strength, and she had this abusive husband.
Right, played by Brad Pitt.
Right, and I don't know, like there's something very soft about her.
Yeah.
There's something very vulnerable about her. And so in a movie like that, her features just line up in the right way with her talent and with the character. Now in something like Zero Dark 30, where she's supposed to be this
She's tough and
tough as nails,
Yeah, boy.
blah, blah, she's not.
Yeah.
She does not look like that.
She's
She
a
doesn't-
CIA
I don't buy that.
sleuth, and you are right. It looks like a bad piece of casting, although the narrative moves you along so well.
Yeah.
I think you buy into her. But initially, yeah.
It kind of reminds me of how when they made Hannibal, the sequel to Silence of the Lambs, they cast Julianne Moore
Oh, I remember.
as Agent Starling, originally played by Jodie Foster. And Julianne Moore just doesn't have that toughness about her. That kind of, you know what I'm talking about? The
Oh, I do.
quality that Jodie Foster has. So it was wrong. That's miscasting.
Yeah.
And I think when Jessica Chastain is cast in like a tough part, it doesn't come off. Now, A Most Violent Year, which is her
good choice.
most recent movie.
That's tough. Now
She
there,
is, but she's feminine in it. And
Oh, yeah.
you can kind of get that. It makes sense to me that she's this sort of well-heeled kind of.
it's 1981. It's a very violent year in New York City,
Mhm.
and
And Oscar Isaac plays a fuel
You got it.
supplier whose trucking company is being targeted by hijackers, and he's trying to find out who's behind it. Jessica Chastain is his wife, who is in charge of all their accounting and all the papers, and as they're being investigated,
Sure.
you get the sense that she's up to something.
well, she's a gum-chewing, smoking, beautiful woman,
Mhm.
but she's got that little trashy edge to her. But as the film progresses, you see she's the brains behind his outfit, or at least the survival of his oil company, and it is therefore a role for a very strong woman who happens also to be beautiful. But I think we may have hit on maybe my favorite role for her, and that's recent. We're just showing that at the Gateway.
Yeah, I think right. Exactly. But I think that kind of lands in her wheelhouse a little more than some of the other things. We can't talk about it without talking about her Oscar nomination for The Help.
That's correct.
And she plays it's a period piece.
Yeah.
And she is not an attractive character in this movie.
Right.
She's obviously quite racist in it.
Yep.
However, that's another role that suits her because she's so overtly feminine.
Yeah,
You know?
and you know something, it reminds me then of this Most Violent, A Most Violent Year, in that role too. The contrast between a beautiful woman and yet a woman who is on the edge of being not a good woman. And I think that really works very well with the two. So you have to adjust yourself and say, you know, I've seen beautiful women who are not classy women.
Now, see, this is why I'm going to say something. This is why I think Jessica Chastain's her time on the A-list, if she is indeed on the A-list, is limited. Here's why. Because she's most effective in roles that aren't flattering. And try to imagine her in a romantic comedy. Try to imagine her opposite, you know, George Clooney or Brad Pitt or Ryan Gosling. I don't care who you. Just try to imagine her in a romantic comedy, and I bet if you're being honest with yourself, you can't quite see it. You can't quite feel it. There's a coldness there, and I think that inability to picture her in a part like that, like in a sort of Meg Ryan or Julia Roberts part, really kind of shows a limitation of her star potential.
Okay,
You
so
agree?
Well, I do agree, except that she can just avoid those roles.
Well, I know,
If
but
she
I don't
knows.
think you can become a huge star without.
Yeah.
I don't. There has to be a lot of crossover appeal to be a big.
Consider her from Interstellar. Did you see that?
No, I missed it.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
All right, she plays Murph, a scientist, and I think she's somewhere there in between what we've been talking about for her. She's smart, but she's grounded. I think it works for her. She's not in the movie a great deal, but I don't think it contradicts any of the expectations we might have had from her. But it still doesn't give her what you're calling for, the breadth, going into roles that are going to be so out of her realm.
And I mean, Hollywood does this all the time. They take a talent, a beautiful talent. Usually it's a female, and they put them. They get all the best parts. There's a brief spurt of fecundity. Is that a word?
Yeah, you're good. It's
Okay. There's like a big output fast, and then they burn out. They're gone. They don't have enough hits, and like they need those kind of crossover hits in order to have longevity. I don't think she's going to be around long. You know, she may be one of those actresses that, you know, her movie career sputters out, and then she finds a second life on television. You know, I could see her in one of those, you know, tough roles on TV.
Well, right now she certainly is the lady of choice, and she is knocking out 2, 3, 4 movies a year, and doing what I suspect you've hit on, is that she knows she may be limited.
Yeah.
But anyway, at her age, in her mid-30s, as she's approaching 40, she is going to be doing as many films as possible.
Right.
And maybe we'll get a chance to see her in the kind of role you're challenging her
I would
with.
love to see that. I would love to see what she's got. Like, I'd like to see her in a comedy or something a little more light, you know?
Yeah.
So, who knows? She may surprise me.
Yep.